Hi, I'm Laura Rose.
I'm Abby, and this is Beyond the Home Study.
We are two adopted moms navigating the real-life journey beyond paperwork and placement.
Thanks for being here. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Beyond the Home Study podcast. This is where we have real conversations with foster and adoptive parents. So welcome back, everyone. We're excited to introduce you to our guest today. Laura, I'll kick it over to you.
Hey guys, we have two guests. We've been doing this now. I'm kind of liking this whole double trouble guest thing. We've got Nick and Sarah that are with us today, and they are foster parents. So you guys, I love that you're here because we talk to a lot of adoptive parents, and sometimes they've done foster care. But you guys, you're going to tell us a little bit more. But Nick and Sarah have been foster parents for over a year, had a couple placements. They're going to tell us all about it, but they have not adopted. So we're going to get a really different perspective here. So I'm excited to hear from you guys. And thanks for being here today.
We are excited to be here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Can you just tell our listeners where in the world you are?
Yeah, we are located in Southwest Missouri, the most exciting place in the world.
Great weather.
Okay. I think we had another guest either from Missouri or knew about it, but do you guys do Kanakuk camps?
We're close to it.
Yes.
We're not really connected.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I grew up going to them and it's not a thing here. And so I always am like, anybody that's like from that area, I'm like, do you know what this is? This is a pivotal thing. Okay.
Yeah.
I worked at Camp Barnabas, which is a camp for individuals with disabilities, and the one I was at was at a location that used to be an old Kanakuk campground.
Okay.
And it was awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you all from there? Did you grow up there or did you locate there later?
So I grew up in Kansas City area and then moved to this area for college.
I grew up in Southeast Kansas, so about 30 minutes from where we are now. We met in college in Joplin, Missouri, and then we've moved around a little bit since we got married, but we ended up back here. We always kind of joke that this town is kind of a magnet, and there's certainly worse places in the world to live. I don't want to make it sound like we don't love it here. We do. It's a great place to be.
Okay, very cool. So how long have you guys been married?
Yeah, we've just celebrated 7 years in March. I guess not just, it's been several months. So we're about 7.5 years in.
No.
Okay. Okay. So tell us a little bit about how, you meet, you date, you get married. What did that look like in terms of talking about kids and what you thought this would look like? Like, was this your plan or, how did that come about?
I grew up in a large family. There's 8 biological siblings blended all over. There's 13 total. So huge family. And I was like, I do not want a large family at all. So then when we were talking, I was like, yeah, maybe I always had a heart for adoption. But I don't know. I was like, I don't have a motherly instinct, that whole thing. So it was not like a huge thing to me. I knew I wanted it, but I was not like something that I was like, couldn't wait for.
Yeah.
And then
we were very much on the same page as we were getting close to feeling like we were going to get engaged and married. We both had the same sense of like, yeah, someday we want a family. And as we were getting close to being married, we were very much like, let's wait 5 years. We just kind of threw that number out there. They're like, we want to really establish a solid foundation to our marriage. We're not in any hurry to become parents. And so we just kind of arbitrarily decided 5 years. And we stuck with that. I mean, it was the first few years of marriage, we were very much on that same page. Neither one of us really had baby fever. We were like, yeah, we were traveling some for work and things. And so it just made sense in life. And then right around, I guess, a little after we'd been married 4 years, we were like, let's start, trying to have a baby. We wanted to. We both felt kind of ready. We had settled down a little bit. We had both entered into new jobs and felt comfortable. And so we started that process of trying to grow our family. And, we thought maybe it might take a little while. It does. And then it just wasn't happening. We weren't getting pregnant and kept trying. And then Sarah was going to the doctor, doing testing. And I was just kind of hanging out like, when is this going to happen? And finally, her gynecologist was like, have you ever had your husband tested? And we're like, no. And so I did some testing, and it was after about a year of trying, we got the pretty devastating news of an infertility diagnosis. So we can't have biological children. And that was a pretty big rock to the system. We weren't, nobody really thinks that's going to happen to them. You hear about that happening to other people. And so when that happened, we were pretty devastated because it had taken us a while to get to the point where we were like, yeah, let's start a family. And we had finally gotten there, and then nope, not happening. So we really grieved that. We tried to process that in a really healthy way. But I'll tell you the ironic thing in it is immediately after we found out, the conversation naturally turns to, okay, what does family look like for us? And I told Sarah, I said, I don't know what it looks like, but I don't want to do foster care. I said, I don't want to do foster care. There's too much grief and loss wrapped up in foster care. We've experienced enough of that. I don't want to do foster care. And then we kind of arbitrarily were like, let's take some time, a month or so, and let's process this. Let's grieve it before we
Okay,
talk.
wait. I wanted to ask you about this because
Yeah.
I feel like, okay, so you said you took some time, you took a month or so. I feel like a lot of people, we get the like, okay, we get an infertility diagnosis or whatever, and then it's immediately someone's like, well, are you going to adopt? Are you going to do foster care? As opposed to like, you should just take a beat. Like, did you get those questions a lot?
We had lots of that, and people saying, well, maybe you could try this, maybe you could try this. I have a twin, identical twin, and they had gotten pregnant pretty easily. All my sisters having baby, so I was like, oh, this will happen. And then, when it didn't, we did get a lot of, okay, well, what's next? And so
right away,
we knew that was not healthy, and we didn't want us to go try to quickly just
fill a void.
Yeah. Like, we knew that we needed a break. So we decided we're not going to talk about it with each other for a month. And so we didn't. And I'm a huge journaler. So I was journaling, talking to my friends, I went to counseling.
Right.
We were like, let's sit in this for a little bit, because that's a big thing, what you think your life's going to be. And then it's like, whoop.
Yeah. Well, and I do think oftentimes people in that, when you receive news like that, you do want to immediately jump to fill that void of, okay, then what does that mean? What does that look like? How do we fix the problem, kind of thing? And so it wasn't like we didn't have, the heavens didn't open and say, here's what you should do. But after about a month, we came back together, and it just kind of naturally came up, and we were like, I was like, Sarah, I think we have to do foster care. And she said, me too.
Wow.
A lot of time just praying and reflecting and honestly wrestling with God through the pain of that, of figuring out, okay, I had always dreamed of being a dad and continuing my family line. I'm the oldest one of my siblings. And then to not have that, it's like a challenge to your manhood, especially to be the reason that it can't happen. And Sarah comes from a story of a lot of loss and grief in her life. And so then I had to wrestle with the guilt and of feeling like, oh, it's just another thing in her story of loss that doesn't feel fair to her. Right. And so there was a lot. And I mean, it didn't stop after that month. I hope I'm not painting that picture. We've been grieving since then. And it's been several years.
So, I mean, I resonate so much with your story, and like, that's very much, if you've listened to any of our episodes and things, like, that's our story too. And it's interesting. I'm curious because like, that was kind of my feeling and my husband's feeling too, of like, we are not pursuing foster care. We are going to look at, all these other things. I mean, we were with a fertility clinic for a long time and like all kinds of different things. So one, I'm curious, like, what was your initial reaction to foster care? I think, Nick, you had said even like, we said no, like, that's not what I wanted to do. So where did that kind of come from? Like, was it from friends, family? Like, where did some of those, I guess, like, negative kind of sentiments come from for you?
We were foster care adjacent to, like, some of our friends had done foster care, and none of our family has done foster care. Your family, like, it was pretty foreign to our families, and we saw that it was hard. Like, we just knew that having children in your home who come from hard places is not an easy path to take. And I had always wanted to, I was like, I'll help other people who do foster care, but like, it's not us. We don't, And then, as Nick was saying, we both came the same day. We sat down, and I actually had gone to church, and it was Mother's Day. And at our church on Mother's Day, they had a foster care informational class. And so I was like, already feeling it, already like feeling this, I don't know, just a burden on my heart to explore this. And a friend looked at me, she's like, are you going to go to that class? And I was so defensive. I was like, no, why? It was just, I could feel like the Lord was like, hey, just like nudging us that direction. But it just felt, I don't know, it was scary, it was scary. And so we ended up going to that class. I think it was like the next week, the informational class. And once we sat in that class, I don't know, it just changed everything, which has to be the Holy Spirit. Like, neither of us wanted to do it. And then all of a sudden, both of us were like, dang it. Okay, let's go. Like, let's see what this is about. So
why foster care and not private adoption or embryo adoption, if you guys knew what that was at the time?
Yeah.
It's a good question.
We don't know.
I think a lot of it was just we felt really called to foster care. I think that our hearts beat to help restore broken families. And so we came to a place, our conviction was we don't want to necessarily go into this with the mindset of we're trying to gain from it. Like we were wanting to go in and say, we'll do our best to give ourselves away, right? Like that was kind of where our starting point was. And so I think that really informed our initial decision. And that's not to say we'll never go the private adoption route, that we'll never do anything like that. But right now in this season, we just feel so strongly called to foster care.
And we both feel it. And that's where it's like, okay, this is such a strong pull on both of our hearts. And I think something too is then the next question for people is like, oh, are you wanting to adopt from foster care? And it's like, we know that can happen and does happen. And if a child is with us and that becomes a need, then we want to be able to create that safe space. But our heart in foster care is for reunification, as painful as it is for ourselves but like in this season and in foster care, like our goal is reunification when it's safe and makes sense. Yeah.
Say it louder for those in the back.
I know. But we've learned so much. Like, there was just those things that's like, you don't know until you know. And once you know, you can't unknow those things. Yeah. So our eyes have been open, and now it feels like this is our whole, it is. Yeah. Once you dive in, you can't really step out. But like, once you know. So, yeah.
Yeah. So tell us about your very first placement. Like, what was the feeling when you got the call? And what came of it?
Terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. Yeah. We had done respite a little bit for a little boy who's 5 and then a couple girls. You might have to go with him. I'm so sorry.
Baby boy's just not happy.
So sorry.
We're
in that 5-month sleep regression. Okay, so we got a text, 2 boys, 4 and 6. And we had said 5 and under, 1 kiddo. You know how that works. You get it, whatever. So we just were like, okay, let's go for it. And I remember I'm great friends with their mom. Like, I was just over at her house today, even though he's been reunified. Praise Jesus, it's been like the coolest story. And we talk about this very openly now, she and I. Caseworker brought in all of their stuff, filled up our whole hallway. And I was like, what did we just do? Like, just like a sense of dread washed over me, because all of a sudden life as you know it is just different. And, they're 2 boys, like they were running all over the place. We had not had kids. So it was like all of a sudden, okay, how long are we doing this? Like, I'm crying. I'm like journaling. I'm like, are we going to put in our 2 weeks immediately? Like, that first day was just such a shock to this. That's just shocked the system. We tried to like go. My husband and I have a run walk club. And that night, 2 hours after they got dropped off, we decided to go. Why would we do that? I don't know. And we're, running into the street. All my friends are trying to help us. And like, I'm standing behind a car crying because I just don't know what I just got what I just got into. And then, you build a bond and form a connection, and the whole day in, day out, helping each other regulate. All of it starts taking place. And it's like, okay, we can do this. Like one next day. And then I have a conversation with mom. She calls me. She's crying and she says, like, will my boys be with you? I think at this point we had just had the one. Will my boy be with you until like I can get him back? And I was like, yes. And I was terrified because I was like, I can't. But I was like, I can't tell her no because of all that just happened. And so that's like what started our friendship of just like, she was so kind to trust us with her child. Not that it was necessarily a choice, but like she trusted us with her child and was, you know, always open, asking questions about parenting and doing all. So like, I know that that was a very rare situation, and it's a year later, he's home with her. I get to see them whenever I want. So yeah, the most life-changing, hard year. What a blessing, all wrapped in one. So yeah.
That's amazing. I don't think we've talked to anyone, at least not that I can remember, that has had like a pretty open relationship and friendship with birth mom. You know, like that's kind of the terms that we would use, like when we've talked about adoption and things, but in like a foster care situation like that. So like in my mind, it's you're communicating with the social worker, then the social worker communicates with mom. So how did she even connect with you to start? Was it through the social worker? Like, what did that even look like?
I don't know what everyone else's look like. They got dropped off and I was given her number and told that I need to make contact.
Yeah.
To let them know that boys are here. And so that's how that initially started. And then I would just start sending updates and texts. And as like she continued to do all the things that she was supposed to do, that continued to, you know, build trust within like with each other. And then we're several months in and we're still doing great. So then like she actually started getting to go to our church after like, I think it was like 6 months in. She started attending our church so she could see him there. And then, you know, we had visit was missed because he was sick. And at that point, we trusted her enough. She came over to come see him. And so there were some like really scary steps in there, all with like permission from caseworker and like making sure that we're all good, you know? But I just felt like such a strong desire to be like her biggest cheerleader, you know? And so there were conversations where it's like, and she and I talk about this, like, you're not giving up. Like, I know you want to right now because it's hard, but like, you love your child. You know you do. You tell me that, you know, like you're going to keep going. You're going to keep going. You're going to keep going. And when you have he turned 5. Lovely child who can say things, you know, they can say things because they've been hurt. And so that can hurt you. And she and I would just have conversations on like mothering this child who we both love. And yeah, definitely not a relationship that we thought could ever be possible. And even like right before this, she was trying to call me. I don't know why, but like we just, have a great friendship now and still get to see our baby boy.
I think this can happen more than people realize, but I think a lot of it has to do with the posture of the foster parent. We also had communication and a relationship with a couple of our placements, but but I've talked to families that don't have, like, their posture is defensive, you know, and that's a completely different thing. Like, if you're approaching it with like this, I want to reunify, as opposed to you're a bad parent and I'm going to take this from you.
It does shift the way you think about it. And like in that case, like mom was doing all of the things. And so, and then keeping the mindset of like, we're on the same team. And she also was like, it's not competition, you know, like she was like, she heard him call me mom and and I didn't ask him to do that, you know, but she was like, man, the humility for her to choose to not be upset by that, and was like, you're important in his life. And then, you know, just, it's not a competition. And same for him. Like, I've lost both my parents. And so like understanding the importance of that, like speaking of parents who you can't be with, like with dignity and respect, and like, why would I make it a competition for him to have to choose? Because that's not fair. So it's like, yeah, you've got 2 moms, because that's what he called me. How cool is that? And he would be like, do you love my mom? It's like, yes, I love your mom. I'm so happy she's, you know, working and every night we're praying, with him for mom, and so he saw early on, we're on the same team. We're on the same team. And she saw that too. And so I do agree. I think that it can happen more often. And it does require some humility. And sometimes, it's hard, It's real hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did it work with parenting wise? I'm sure like he's 5 or close to 5 when he came. And how were you guys handling maybe wanting to make different choices in terms of parenting?
Sure. Yeah, that was hard because it was like, okay, you are his mom. And I was on the side of you are his mom. I don't want to take any of that from you. And if you can have at visits, eating certain things that maybe we wouldn't do here, right? I'm like, it's your time. It's your baby. There might be consequences later with behaviors or whatever because of, things we ate. But like, that was not a battle that I was like willing to deal with the consequences later to allow her to have that choice and autonomy as a mother with her child. So
did she ever say anything about times like, like bedtime or like TV time or something that like you were doing in the home? Was that ever a thing?
it wasn't. During reunification and that like period in between, there were things like, weekend visits that I'm like, oof, I wouldn't do that. And so she and I did have really candid conversations of like, we would say like this is what we've been doing. There was never anything on her side being like, I don't want you to do XYZ. So, yeah.
What about from the little boy's perspective? Like, would you ever have times that would happen where it's like, but my mom lets me do this, that.
All the time. And again, she and I joke about this because now he does that with her about me. Like, Sarah wouldn't make me do this. And she would say it and I would say it. I'm like, mom would say the same thing. And she'll say that now. Nope. Sarah would say the same thing. We're on the same team. And like, it was Christmas time and he was like obsessed with the Grinch. And something had happened and I was like, okay, buddy, we can't have this thing right now. And he was like, you're like the Grinch. You take everything good from me. I want my mom. And I was like, that was really clever. That was really good. But mom's going to agree with me on this one, and I call her and she's like, so we would, and still now she calls me with parenting stuff like, gosh, this is hard. I'm like, yeah, it is. It is hard. So yeah, I feel like we made a good team. Obviously, again, it's not perfect at all, but.
Talk to us a little bit about that reunification. Like, was it a surprise? Did you know this was coming? Like, what were the emotions like?
We had known that it was coming. There was a time when we were like maybe unsure. And then it was definitely like on the route for reunification. We were talking to him a ton about it. We can't wait for you to go live with mom. Just like trying to prep his brain for that. We made like lots of picture books of all of the time spent together. And during that transition, do you guys know like the little Yodo where you can like put cards on? So I got one that you could record your own voice. And so I recorded our entire bedtime stories and like songs. And he would take that on the weekends and listen to it. And so just like trying to prep that transition, as painful as like we were feeling sad because like after a whole year, like our hearts were breaking and it's like we can't show him that because we're like, it's so exciting you get to go back home with your mom. We are sad because we have loved our time with you, but we're so excited, So we just did lots of prepping, slowly sending things over to mom's house to try to like make that transition better. And talked with her a lot of like, she's like, I want to know what your nighttime routine is. So she started doing that like on the overnight visits. And here's the songs that we usually sing. And here's the prayers that we, the flow of what we just happen to like, do every single night. And so things have changed now because he's fully transitioned there. But her desire to keep it as much as similar as possible to what we were already doing. But that's why I was like, your mom, like you get to create your own new routines. Like, don't feel like you have to. But for him, she wanted that like steadiness for him and that like it's a big transition no matter what. And so, yeah, it was hard. We got a call. We're like, okay, it'll be around this time. Okay. And then like that week, it was like, oh, it's in 2 days. You can do it tonight or you can do it tomorrow. And I just was like, and we knew it was coming. Like it's coming, but it's like, what a weird world to like raise a child up not like he's waking up every hour for those last couple months. It's like only wanted me to take him to, like he was very connected to me. And then all of a sudden to like drop off and be like, okay, bye, like packing up his room and like,
Yeah.
oh, it's awful. But it's like exciting because it's like, this is the whole point. And we got to like witness from start to finish. Like we were the first placement and we got to be that person for him. And like, even now, like we're going to go get school supplies for him to start kindergarten. And we're going to like our church, by golly, like amazing. The way that they like, she's moving and I, put on Facebook with her permission, hey, can anyone have extra things? They're pouring out like, here's a couch, here's a bed, like, so he's not in our care anymore, but we still get to, I don't know, have them in our life and like hopefully help them through life. And yeah, it made it a lot easier knowing that we still got to see him. But that first night without him was like, oh, there's a Spider-Man out in the yard, like, oof. It's hard.
Yeah.
I also listened to one of your, I don't remember the episode, but I think she was a former foster kid who then did foster care as a mom and maybe like adopted. And she, I think, was in a home when she was like 4 or 5 for a year. And just, I was going through like planning on him leaving us. And I had listened to that podcast. I was on a drive. And I was just dealing with like the knowing that this is coming up. And I found that episode. I was sobbing because she like went back and found this foster family or whatever. And I was like, because I'm like, does it even matter? Like he was with us for a year and it's all gone. And it's like, no, it matters. It matters. And so I don't remember her name, but whatever episode that was, I was like, oh my gosh, I needed to hear that in that moment of like a year does matter in his little life. So
yeah. And these
that
are
episode.
like, yeah, those are such formative years. I mean, I think, of course, every year our kids are changing and like that's what they're doing. Like they're changing and they're growing and everything. But like, I mean, I say it as I have a 4-year-old in my house right now, my son Judah, who is almost 5, and just thinking like he remembers things from when he was 2 and 3. Like,
Yes.
your precious little boy, like he will remember that forever. And he has the pictures and yeah, just like the love and support. I love that from the church too, that they just came alongside and were like, whatever you need, here it is. Let's do it. That's awesome.
It's been really cool to see the church show up. Like they're not doing foster care themselves, all those people who have donated stuff to us, but like that is foster care. Like, and you're getting to be a part of that. So that's been, wow. It's been so cool to see that.
Yeah, I love that. So, I mean, I definitely hear the emotion, like even as you share it, that like you have, there's like that raw emotion still.
Yes.
So that, it goes with you. Like, of course, it's going to keep carrying with you. But then you've had at least one placement since then. So tell us like kind of what happened and what led to where you are now.
Yeah, we have a 5-month-old placed with us when he was like 3 days old. So 5-year-old was reunified like March 1st. Baby was born March 3rd. And so it was a pretty quick situation, but he's got other siblings in care and they're together all the time, which is also such a blessing and also unique. But again, we just know how important family ties are.
And then when this child that you have now was put into care, did they contact you?
So this person, we're in the same like I don't know, agency. Like there's like children's division, and then we're a part of like a smaller.
Wait, you're doing a private foster care agency?
Yes. So they like get out by children's.
So the private foster care agency is a new realm for me. So you're familiar with that, Laura, but can you describe, one of you, it doesn't matter who, can you describe like kind of what that looks like and how you get involved in something like that?
Or Sarah, why don't you tell her like what made you choose an agency versus the state?
Yeah. Okay. So whenever I went to that informational meeting at our church, there was children's division, and then there was who I go through. And from what I understand, I also fully don't understand. The reason we chose it was faith-based. They do the same thing.
Okay.
Faith-based. From what I understand, they get like contracted out
From the state?
placements. Yes.
Okay, I can explain it. Okay, so the way that it works, the state gets all the placements, okay?
Okay.
But the state can't handle
Yeah.
that many
Okay.
placements.
Okay.
And so what they do is there are private agencies, and the benefit of going with a private agency is that you get more training, you get more support,
Yes.
like in the moment, like they are more involved, your workers are like way more involved, you have more access to them. But the downside is that they don't get first pick of the placements because the state gets them first, and the state will sometimes give harder placements and older and kids that are harder to place, like for whatever reason. Maybe they
Sure.
have a disability, maybe they're older, maybe they're a sibling group. Not always just like behavioral, but they'll give them to the agencies because they're harder for the state to place. So, like, if
Gotcha.
you have a really specific, I only want an infant and I don't want, whatever, you're going to have a harder time going with a private agency.
Gotcha.
Like that never happens in our situation unless there's already a sibling set in care and maybe that mom ended up having a baby. But like if you're in our agency, I hear a lot of people being like, oh, I just want to do babies. I'm like, you might wait for 2 to 3 years
Yeah.
at least here for a baby to come. I don't know. So that was not ever I never thought that we would have a baby in care just because we knew that was really rare. It happens. Obviously it happens, but like rare, at least
Yeah.
where we're at. Lots of needs
Yeah,
for
the
like
states
foster homes
get
for
'em.
teenagers, and that makes sense.
Okay, I honestly, like, sometimes when I hear foster care, I assume the state just because that's what I did, so I kind of am, like, going back and I'm like, "Oh, wait, they were doing private agencies the whole
Yeah.
time." Okay, so then what made you, like, okay, I'm, like, thinking about this and I'm like, here's a couple that, like, wanted a family, went through infertility, and didn't even wanna do foster care, and then not only did you not wanna do foster care, but you decided to go through an agency where you knew the chances of getting a baby were slim to none, and you still
Mhm.
wanted to do that? Like, why didn't you just go with the state? Because, I mean, that's what most people do because then they want a baby.
Yeah. I think that one, we really didn't know a whole lot. Nick's coming back to join us. Why did we choose agency? I think our
Versus
hearts
the
do-
state, Nick.
Yeah, versus state. Um,
Well, I think it was what we were familiar with.
that's true. A lot of our friends had done
Yeah.
the one that we go through.
Yeah. I don't know that there was really any reason other than that in the moment, to be honest. I mean, I think we liked
And we had friends who were caseworkers with them. So honestly, because we were new to foster care, I just thought that was it. I didn't really understand that there was, and again, when they presented to us, they had Children's Division come and explain what they do. And I was like, oh, they're basically doing the same thing, but this over here is through a faith-based lens, which is what we desired. And the training, my goodness, we loved our training in person for how many weeks?
that was 12 weeks.
12 weeks. It was intense, but it was like, you can't fully prepare for, what you're going to step into with things. But I am grateful. Our previous placement was, like higher behavioral needs. So there were behaviors and things. I do come from a special ed background, and I am so thankful for that. Just in like, yeah. Oh, you too for me. And going through lots of courses on like trauma and understand the brain. And I do feel like that set us up for understanding how much these children like really needed safe, caring adults who could understand where they're coming from. Like we had not experienced those type of things, but could like have empathy for that. So yeah, I don't think I have like a clear answer for that. I think at that time we were just like, okay, this feels like the right thing to do.
Yeah. So then when you got the call for the baby, you were probably shocked because you weren't thinking you would have an infant like that.
Right. And it's interesting because people have said, oh my goodness, has it been so hard? And for us, after parenting a 4 or 5 year old for a year, that, parenting. And then now I'm like, we're caregiving. Like this, honestly,
Yeah.
it feels very like nights look very different. Yes, we're up at night, but we were also up at night with our 5-year-old and negotiating, like it's like, it's so different. But there is, you build a bond and an attachment, which, my favorite part of foster care is that piece. Like you get to see that trust being built, which we got to build with the 5-year-old, and it took time. A baby is different because like you are their everything. Like
they don't know any different.
They don't know any different. So it is completely different experiences. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's been so.
I also felt, so we also did, we had a very brief, like a 2-week stint where we had a baby. That was our first placement, but we knew it was only going to be 2 weeks. It was a COVID relief thing. But then we had toddlers first. Like, so we had that, but then we had toddlers. Then we had a baby, like after they reunified, then we had, and I will 100% agree with you. Those toddlers threw me for a loop. Yeah. And I like work with kids as an OT, and I still was like, what have we done?
Yes. I was like, how do people do this? Like, and because we hadn't parented, it was like, we just got thrown straight into, any child 4 or 5, they are beautiful children, strong-willed, found their autonomy, and then you add a layer of separation and loss and trauma and that. And I'm like,
but I will tell you, it's much different when you start with the baby, and then now my kids have surpassed the ages of those kids, and I'm like, yeah, that felt different. Like, that felt much different because you build those routines, their personality. There's a lot more to it than all of a sudden be like, you're in a really hard stage and you know nothing about these kids and what makes them tick and how to do it. And yeah.
I think that was one of the most challenging parts that we experienced. Was we had friends with kids in similar ages, but they were their biological children that they had raised from birth. And so they would try to relate to us at times. And it was like, I understand what you're trying to do, but it's not the same. I love you. And I'm thankful that you're trying to relate, but it's not the same. And that was hard to explain to people. And so usually we just didn't, we just had to swallow our pride, be like, yep, thanks for
the advice.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
And the fear of like, I don't think he felt this, but sometimes I care too much about what people think or what people perceive of me. So if I'm, at Walmart with the 5-year-old and maybe we're having a moment and I'm like, you get scoffs and people being like, oh, they need to do XYZ with that child. And they should, and you're just like, it doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter we don't know each other. But like the way we parent this child is going to be very different. Because
you want to just shout like, I've only been parenting them for 5 days. Like,
I
know. There's a lot of truth to that. Yeah.
No, that's literally was conversations of like,
well, the temptation, is for us to be like, well, if you knew this kid's story, but it's like, that's not right. They don't need to. That's not for them to. And so that's like at the heart of foster care. That's what it means to like give yourself away, is that, we'll be in Walmart getting looked at funny, whatever. And it's like, okay, we just have to bear that burden, because honestly, that's not as hard as what this kid has gone through. Right. We don't need to broadcast, this is a foster kid. Right. And so we try to be really intentional about protecting our kiddos' stories and not sharing with people things that they don't need to know, even though there is the temptation there to save face, right? To be like, oh, blah, blah, blah. But we have to keep each other accountable on that all the time, because it's like, people don't need to know that. That is not ours to share.
And doesn't that make you just want to give other parents so much grace too, when you see other things happening and you're like, you have no idea what they have gone through, whether it's today or the last 5 days or 5 years, like you have no idea. And I think about that so much, like after hearing stories like this, when I'm out in the world and I see something happening, I'm like, I used to judge that so harshly. And now I have so much more grace, because we have no idea, like literally no idea what's going on. It's wild.
And a lot of people, we have had people during that year, it was hard. And so people would ask us like, well, why don't you just go adopt a baby? And it's like, that's not a solution to what we're like, this child does love and attention and affection. And I also want to say, like, even a child who you end up adopting at birth, there is still going to be separation and
Yes.
loss and all these things. And so I'm like, oh, do I educate right now? Do I keep my mouth shut? Do I?
That's one of the biggest battles we face. Is
Just
like,
kind of,
is this a teaching moment or is this pride?
because again,
Right.
people don't know. And so, yeah, it has required us to put that pride away, which is so hard, but it's like, they don't know, just like we didn't know.
Yeah.
They don't know. Yeah.
It is. You're hitting on something I think that's so interesting in this. Like, you have to protect the child over yourself, and I think a lot of people, even in the foster and adoptive world, still struggle with this because we want to feel validated, and we care what people think, and we don't want you to think. Don't think I'm a bad parent. I'm not a bad parent. It's this kid that went through, whatever. And it's hard to really be like, no, like, your dignity is more important than my pride.
Yes.
And that's really hard.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, it's very hard.
Yeah.
And just like, you're like, oh, you don't know what's going on in the house every single night, and you don't know all these things, and you think your life's hard. It's like, okay, well, that's not a healthy place to be for anyone to, like, everyone, even if you have your own children, biological children, like, life is still going to be hard. And something that keeps us, I don't know, when it gets hard, and when, we know that this baby has a family who loves him, and, our other kid is with a family who loves him. And it's like, if we can form those relationships like our previous kiddo, and like, what can our table one day look like? Like, we got to have Nick's family over for dinner. This was right when our little guy had been reunified, and we had him spend the night, and we had his mom come over and bring his brother, and they got to meet Nick's family. And it's like, this, like, we got to take them to church. We got to, like, if the whole point is not for us to be comfortable, but to, like, spread the gospel. And if that little boy loves Jesus and gets to be that to his parents, and then they get to be that to their friends, like, what can the table, like our kitchen table, look like? And that gets me emotional too, because it's like, it's hard. It's like, that's such a beautiful picture, but the day in, day out is hard.
Yeah, it is, but it's really good. Yeah, it's good encouragement to do it anyways. And I think I saw at one point, I think it was on your story on Instagram, Nick, that maybe Sarah, you had shared, but it was like basically that sentiment of like embracing the hard things and doing it anyways, like even when the emotions are raw and all of that. So I would love to just like even hear more of your heart around that, especially with now your current placement, because you're snuggling him and holding him and tending to him when he cries and all these things. So like, what does that kind of rawness even look like now?
I cry all the time.
We cry every day. It wrecks us.
We're both pretty even keel, pretty stable emotionally, and this season it's been hard. I mean, we knew it would be hard going in, but also like, you don't know till you know. I mean, when we got the infertility diagnosis, it was kind of like, okay, there's a chance we may never have a baby in our home, right? And now that we do, and we look at that baby every day that we've raised since he came home from the hospital, and we look at him every day and wonder, how much longer will you be here?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, but at the same time, we keep each other rooted. It's like, if I was on the other side of this story and I was his mom or dad, I would want someone who followed Jesus to be fighting for me on the other side and hoping that I could succeed, right? I wouldn't want someone hoping I fail so that they get to keep my kid.
And we say that too, of like, one day, if he happened to be with us, and he asked, did you help my parents fight? Like, what are we going to say? No, we were against that. Like, that will check you real fast. It's like, no, I want to be able to tell him, like, or he gets to go home and he's like, wow, the foster parents fought so that I could be with my family. Like, So it's like, that is our hope and desire. And it's like, the only thing that we can do is like, honestly, go to Jesus and be like, whatever is best for his future, I pray that it be. Like, take us out of it, because we are human and there can be selfish desires, and you can like love a child so much. And also just like praying for his future to be whatever is best for him, not us, like that, take us out of it. So, but then also like not putting up a guard. Like, he deserves, while he is in our home, to have unconditional love. And it's easy to do because he's stinking adorable.
Yeah.
My land, we're obsessed with him. Like, he is precious.
With our first kiddo, long term, I kind of had a come to Jesus moment about, I don't know, 5 months in, where I just realized I had been guarded and I was not giving myself fully to him. And I just was, I legitimately, God slapped me upside the face and was like, you have to give yourself to this kid because he deserves it at your expense. If that's what it costs, then that's what it costs. And that was a game changer for my relationship with him, because to that point, we hadn't really connected. And things started to change from there, and it got hard again. It wasn't some like beautiful, we were best friends after that story. Like, it remained hard, but like my heart and my posture changed. And that has continued, that has transferred into this new placement. And it's obviously different. It's a baby, but it is going to be incredibly difficult for both of us if and when he does reunify. And we can still hope for that because we love him so much that we want what's best for his life.
I think where this really comes to be difficult in my experience is when you get, or if you get to the point where you feel like reunification is what's not best.
Mm-hmm.
That can be really hard like that's really hard. We were in that situation, we're all for reunification, and then you feel like, okay, we've passed a point.
Yes.
And that is hard because like just because you're there doesn't mean that the state is there or that, anybody else is there. And I think that you guys are so on the right track of like, if that were to even be the case for you guys, like having that humility of knowing, like you almost have to distance yourself from not the child, but from the system to be like, this is greater than me. And I am not in control. And I think that so many foster parents are missing this. And that's what makes it feel so, like I could never. But it's like, if you can really distance yourself and say, I'm not in control, then you really can be like, I'm going to give myself to this kid. And I think that makes you like the perfect foster parents. Like that really is, even when like these difficult things happen. So it's great that you guys are there, and it's really hard.
Yeah, I was just reading something of like, and I feel this of when you do start to question, it's confusing because it's like, wait, but I'm pro reunification. It's like when it's safe and best and healthy. And we've had those battles of like, wait, this is so different than what I have been. And it's like, am I a bad foster parent because I'm having these thoughts? And it's like, no, we're in like foster care should never have been a thing. Like the world was not created in its original design to be a thing. So of course it's going to be hard because we're in a broken world. And so it's like, we're trying to restore something that has been broken. And on this side of earth, that just won't happen, And so that's also a little daunting, and also like, okay, we get to play this beautiful piece in restoration. And like, yeah, it's going to be hard because you're fighting against brokenness, Yeah.
And we're far from perfect. I mean, we're still so early on in this. We're learning. We learn daily, and we fight selfishness. I mean, it's not even daily. It's like every hour, like I'm fighting selfishness. I find myself thinking about this baby at work and looking at pictures of him. And I'm like, oh man, I dream of a life with him. And it's like, wait a second. I have to check myself and remember, it's not always best to let myself go there.
Yeah, it's like what you said at the beginning when we started talking about like you wanted to give in this, like the reason that you stepped into foster care, like one of those main reasons was wanting to give of yourselves, not to gain. And I was thinking about it even from the standpoint of when you're, going through the infertility diagnosis and like thinking all of those things, like there's so many times that I personally felt it where like I went through similar processes and I was like, I want to gain a child. Like that's what I want out of all of this. It's not how can I prepare myself to give and to like to not expect to receive. And so I love like kind of the full circle that God has brought you on, and obviously he's still doing work and he will continue to keep doing work in all of us, but it's sweet to hear your story and hear kind of how he's brought you through all of that.
It's been a journey.
Yeah.
But we love
For
it
sure.
too. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Well, you guys, we have so enjoyed listening to you guys. It makes me be like, man, we need more foster parents on this.
Yes, we do.
It's so good to like listen. If you're a foster parent listening, you should send us a DM.
Do it.
But yes, thank you so much for joining us for today, and we look forward to checking in with you to just see how things go. Are you guys thinking as we kind of close up here? I'm really just curious. Are you a family that are hoping to have like, oh, we want to have like 50 placements in our lifetime, or you're like one at a time? We'll decide that later. Like, where are you on that?
Great question.
You want me to answer?
Go for it.
I wish I could be someone who's like all the children all at once. And right now, what we have, I don't know, seen is that we are like a one kid at a time, because it's even with one kid, you're at counseling and therapy and you're at visits here and I'm like, that's one kid, and so some people, we always have to remind ourselves, like, some people's capacity, they're all different, and our capacity right now is, I think, 1 to 2 at a time. I would love, we don't know how long we're going to do this. I hope that we have the stamina to do it for a long time, but yeah, it's foster care. I don't know, what will happen, or if and our hope is that, like, if a child does need a home, that we can be that safe and loving home. And so who knows in the future? It's kind of exciting. Like, who will we get to love on? No idea, and yeah.
I think one of the things that keeps me going, like wanting to keep pursuing this even in the hard, is a few months ago I had to do a genogram for a project at this training I was going through. And as we filled this out, I came to our family line, and I kind of experienced that grief over again of like, man, we don't get to continue this family line in the way that I thought we were going to. And we sat down as I was going through that, and she was like, but think about all the different family lines we have the opportunity to impact through doing foster care. Right. And so it goes from what would have been one, potentially, who knows what we would have ended up doing had we had our own biological children, to now every kid that passes through our care, there's potential to impact that family line. And so I think that is what keeps us, like, 30,000 foot view going, even in the midst of the hard, when baby is screaming for the 5th time while we're trying to report a podcast, and it's like, when you're in the thick of it, it's like, that's our why,
Yeah.
is to love and impact, hopefully, generations to come.
So cool.
Beautiful and so true. Well, thank you guys so much. We're going to end it on that, because honestly, I would love to just that be the end of what our audience gets to hear. And guys, if you're listening to this podcast, if anything we've said today has made you laugh, cry, or feel seen, please share this episode with a friend, and we'll be back next week.